चलो. However, I am talking about the medicine. The name of the medicine is the Pyrogen. So Pyrogen is a medicine. It is nothing but the nozodes. Alright. The decomposed beef. So while preparing the medicine, the raw beef is to be taken and it was boiled, and after that the medicine is to be prepared. So when there is excessive smell is there and decomposed beef is to be prepared for it, so in that sense we can consider it that this is a medicine which is to be used in case of the in a septic condition. In case of the septic condition, it should be used. The nozode is, so it is to be called the nozode of the sepsis. Okay, the decomposed beef is to be prepared. Now the condition is that the dilution is prepared from the lean beef, water allowed to stand in the sun for 2 to 3 weeks, and so the medicine was proved by the Dr. Swan, Dr. Barnett, Dr. Ingling, Dr. Servino, and A.C. Allen. So these are the authentic persons who has proved this medicine. Now it acts on the whole system, especially from head to foot, and in any septic condition we can use the Pyrogen. There are some criteria, there are some peculiar symptoms are there which is to be used for the treatment of disease septic condition, and we can use the Pyrogen in some septic conditions. So पहला number है, especially in case of the Pyrogen patient, we will find that there are the fever is high rise of temperature. Along with it, there is the tongue is very fiery red as if raw beef. Okay, high rise of temperature. The temperature may goes up to the 104 to 105 like this. Associated with maybe there may be severe chill may be present there, and besides this, there is a rapid heartbeat. The heart rate may becomes 100, 120 or 150 tuck. Okay, so the puerperal, especially this is useful in case of the puerperal fever or the septic fever or the typhoid fever or the malaria, diphtheria with soreness. Okay. So along with this fever, there is the soreness, painful condition, whole body, and the bed feels, the peculiarity that the bed feels hard, but must change position with great restlessness. So restlessness and the change of position is very important. The temperature is high, the tongue becomes clean. Somewhere it has been written, but it becomes very smooth and red as if it is varnished. So raw, somewhere it is to be called the raw beef, like red, extreme red, as a varnished. Taste usually of the tongue is like putrefied taste, pulse abnormally rapid and out of all proportion to the temperature. So it is very important symptoms. The pulse and temperature are mostly different, and there is no ratio which is usually occurs here. The septic fever with pulse and temperature out of rhythm, either a high aching, high rise of temperature in typhoid fever from the beginning. Fever with aching in bones, not relieved by the Eupyturium perforatum and so on. Fever with aching in bones. So in case of Eupyturium perforatum, there is the aching in bones, muscles, and especially bones and muscle, and plus other parts of the body. ठीक है ना, myalgia भी है, rastux में है, with restlessness, aching in limbs, better from motion, and the warmth, but not relieved by the rastux. Okay, so the bones are not relieved by Eupyturium perforatum. There is dry heat with restlessness, aching in limbs, better from motion, and warmth, but not relieved by rastux. There is a constipation without the urging from impaction of the feces, So इसलिए कभी कभी हम क्या देखते हैं ना constipation, excessive constipation with impaction of the stool. So due to the stool infection, there is most of the time some bacteria usually develop, and the putrefaction is there, and there is the excessive hyperemia and other condition usually developed. Next number, intestinal obstruction with persistent vomiting and coffee ground. Usually this is also another very peculiar symptoms of the coffee pyrogen. Persistent vomiting of coffee ground, offensive and stertorous matter. ठीक है ना? Persistent vomiting of coffee ground, offensive stertorous matter. Diarrhea, horrible offensive, diarrhea, horrible offensive, brown or black. Diarrhea is horrible offensive, brown and black, painless, okay, and involuntary, uncertain when passing flutters. So horrible offensiveness, brown and black, painlessness, and involuntary stool, uncertain when passing the flutters. The constipation, in case of the constipation with complete inertia, so there is impaction of the stool, obstinate from the impactions. In fever, usually stools have becomes infected. The very fevers, the stools have become very large, and the black color stools. The odor is mostly carrion like, carrion bolo to cadaverous like odor, and from small black balls like the olive oils. So it means that is the small black balls, olive oil like color, और क्या देखने का offensiveness, okay, extreme offensiveness, or that is with the high rise of temperature, impaction of the stool, and so on. So in case of this condition, when you will find it, mostly in the septic condition, this can be obtained. The dead fetus, sometimes this is a good medicine for the cases of the dead fetus, and after some time, due to any reason, if there is an abortion, dead fetus is there, that is lost in the uterus, and that does not come out, and there is a horribly offensive discharges, and ischias discharges are there, and so with retained placenta, sometimes you will find it. So in case of the retained placenta, along with the fetus retained in the uterus, or due to any injury, the fetus becomes dead as a result of it, there is any hyperemia or the septic conditions, we can consider this pyrogen. Another thing is there is the local discharges. These local discharges are also excessive thin and offensiveness and serosanguinous, very fetid, suppressed, and along with it there is the chills is present, fever and profuse fetid perspiration. So if the offensiveness is very common to the pyrogen, as also the bacteria, even the carbovage, carbanemelish, and sorinum, and so on. Okay. Next is chronic disease, never will since septic fever following abortion or confinement. और एक शब्द बड़ी बात है, ये जो पहले ये confinement हो गई, after confinement septic condition or septic fever following abortion or confinement, if the patient's health is become deteriorated, we can think of this pyrogen. Then comes about the heart trouble. This is a good medicine for the heart trouble with distinct consciousness of the heart. Purring cat, usually the heart sound looks like that of the purring cat. जब बिल्ली के शरीर में हाथ रखने का देखा जाते हैं, गुड़गुड़ 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 एक आवाज आती है, ठीक है ना? That is called the purring cat. Okay, this type of heart troubles, this type of heart sound is present in case of the pyrogen. And not only that, there is the throbbing, pulsating, constant in the ears, or preventing the sleep. So this sound also preventing sleep cardiac asthenia from septic condition. These are also found. The obstinate offensive varicose ulcers of old persons with skin pale, cold of an ashy color, very obstinate and offensive varicose ulcers of old persons. कभी कभी देखा गया है जे offensive and varicose ulcers old people के लिए, and with skin becomes pale, cold and ashy colored. You can think of these drugs. इसलिए जिस patient का septic fever with such and such condition, or there is a preventing sleep, throbbing, pulsating, we can consider. And best selected remedy usually fails to improve the condition of the patient suffering from puerperal fever. And the best indicated remedy fails to improve the condition of the patient suffering from the puerperal fever, septicemia, surgical condition, ptomaine poisoning, or shear gas infections. These are the causative factors. So, when there is a condition usually develops due to the puerperal fever, after delivery, if there is a septic conditions, develops. Number 2 the septicemia, another is the surgical conditions, third number is the ptomaine poisoning or the sewer gas poisoning. Sometimes what is happening there, now it has been found that now due to the sewage gas, if anyone becomes infected, at the time also there is high rise of temperature. Sometimes anyone usually ingested the poisonous water. As if there is an infection, we must consider the pyrogen. Even not only after dissection, if there is a contamination out there, then also you can think it is a dynamic remedy and action indicatively fails to get back the reality of the dynamic of the patient. इसलिए जब भी कोई अच्छा मेडिसिन इंडिकेटिव मेडिसिन दे रहा है but the result is not obtained as per our concern, then we can think of the that remedy. Okay. Next, the dose is become different from 6, 30, 200, and 1 potency according to the case to case. Okay. That is the comparison. If we find it, the comparison of these drugs, that is the septic fever in case of the rapid loss of the strength, okay, shrinking pulse, delirium and fainting, anthraxinum and pyrogen. Usually rapid loss of strength, sinking pulse, delirium and fainting, anthraxinum and pyrogen. The decubitus of typhoid is there. Due to the typhoid, there is a condition is deteriorated. Then is the Arnica montana, baptisia, muriatic acid, pyrogen. So, but in case of the typhoid, these are the very major important remedy. Arnica montana, sensitive, whole body becomes bluish throat feeling. Baptisia also the same thing, with offensive discharges and offensiveness. Muriatic acid also, there is offensiveness, the patient is very weak and slice return from the bed, and pyrogen also, the tongue becomes red varnished as if red and varnished. Okay, so in this way we can distinguish from one medicine to another, and pyrogen is mostly in septic condition. Okay, next number, the great prostration with the disposition to decomposition of fluids. Great prostration with disposition to decomposition of fluids. कभी कभी देखा जो fluids become decomposed, baptisia and pyrogen is there. The tongue, very vigorous symptoms of the pyrogen is the tongue. What is the clear-cut picture of the tongue? That becomes red, smooth and polished. Red, smooth, varnished, polished. The medicine, the croton heart, that is the pyrogen and terebinthina. Exhalation and discharges from fatigue in typhoid or other acute disease and ulcers, breath, stool, urine, perspiration and fatigue. So इसलिए जब भी देखेंगे, if the discharge are fatigue in case of the typhoid or in case of the acute disease and ulcers, we can think of these drugs among so many other medicines, and among this baptisia, pyrogen and solanum is there. So baptiste is offensiveness in general, solanum is offensiveness in general. So in case of solanum, all the orifices are offensive, and solanum is mostly chilly patient. But in case of the pyrogen, there is the high residual temperature, there may be some delirium, okay, and septic condition we will found it. Next number is the putrid discharge from the mouth and other orifices, nose, throat, rectum and vagina. Most of the time pyrogen में क्या देखते हैं, putrid discharges, horrible discharges are coming out. So ठीक है, muriatic acid है, कार्बोवेज है, सोलाइनम है, पायरोजन है, फिर भी इवन कार्बोलिक एसिड भी है, तो है बस एंथ्रैक्सिनम ये है. सो Anthraxinum is also one of the important medicine in case of the septic condition. In case of the anthrax poison, of course, but there is an excessive severe burning is present. But whereas in case of the pyrogen, there is no such burning sensation are present. Another thing is that in case of the carbolic acid, there is oxidation of insinus, and so and that solanum, the solanum patients are very ugly, uncleanness habit is there. So in case of the pyrogen, we will find it, there is the offensiveness, offensive discharges are there. Diarrhea in septicemia, diarrhea in septicemia from high game, okay. In case of diarrhea in septicemia, especially in the high game, black coffee ground offensive, okay. So diarrhea in septicemia from high game, black coffee ground offensive. तो और कोई मेडिसिन है, रोटोनहॉर है और पायरोजिन, दो मेडिसिन है जिसमें डायरिया के साथ सेप्टिसिमिया with black coffee ground sedimentation is there. Another is the postpartum hemorrhage, okay, or postpartum wound, arsenic album, lacacious and pyrogen. So तीनों medicine mostly useful in case of the postpartum hemorrhage and postpartum wound. Mostly the arsenic album is also one of them, where there is excessive decreasing the signs and symptoms. The condition of the patient is very serious. In case of the lacacious, after dissection or after the postpartum or after if any high radiative temperature, along with the chilliness, along with the prostration, along with the thirst is there, along with the vomiting is there, we can consider this one. But in case of the pyrogen, high radiative temperature, there is a disproportionate of the heart rate and the pulse rate. So we can consider the pyrogen in that sense. Next, now that is the case disease, the sepsis, the premature, what type of disease is the very important, we can consider it. That is the tomen poisoning, बोलो तो जो लोगों tobacco or like this substances का खाने के बाद उसका पॉइजनिंग हो गया है, सीवर गैस इन्फेक्शन, कॉजेटिव फैक्टर, कारण क्या हो सकता है जिसके कारण से हम पायरोजन के हम सोच सकते हैं. सीवेज गैस पॉइजनिंग, देखो कभी कभी अंडरग्राउंड में कुछ सीवेज गैस होते तो उसका कोई पॉइजनिंग हो, कोई एम्प्लॉय नीचे नामा उतरा, वहाँ से कुछ काम करने के लिए अचानक देखा लोगों को फेंट हो जाता है. सो अगर ऐसी है सेफ्टी कंडीशन डेवलप हो गया, जो लोग अंडरग्राउंड में काम करते हैं तो वो लोगों के लिए भी वी कैन थिंक ऑफ द पायरोजन, ठीक है ना. नेक्स्ट नंबर डिसेक्टिंग वुंड्स, ठीक है, द सीवियर गैस इन्फेक्शन, द डिसेक्टिंग वुंड्स, कभी कभी देखा गया है द बॉडी बिकम्स कॉन्टेमिनेटेड विद अदर एक्सटर्नल इंप्रेशन. वो भी कैसे है ना, एक्सटर्नल इंप्रेशन में उसका एग्रेवेशन होते हैं, डिसेक्टिंग वुंड से, ब्लड पॉइजनिंग से, ओके, कोल्ड डैम्प वेदर में, obstinate varicose veins and offensive ulcers old persons, septic fever, especially the puerperal. इसलिए puerperal fever में, septic fever में we can consider the pyrogen medicine mostly. The maximum case में ये cover कर लेते हैं, okay. Next one, latent pyrogenic processes. Patient continually relapsing after apparent minimum when the best circulatory fails, relief or permanently improved diphtheria, typhoid or typhus, violent chills, intermingle with this heat and sweat, dry heat with marked aching in the limbs, restless and disturbed motion and by heat. इसलिए pyrogen के कुछ symptoms हैं which is very similar to the rustux. इसलिए better by motion and relieved by the heat is very characteristic symptoms of the pyrogen. Okay, rustux के basic symptoms हैं even causes fever with aching in bones. Pyrogen perforatum is there. Septic fever with pulse and temperature are out of rhythm, by the way. Septic fever with pulse and temperature is out of the rhythm either way. Violent burning in an abscess. Violent burning in an abscess is arsenical worm, anthraxinum, tarantula cubensis, and so on. Chronic complaints, the date back to septic conditions. She has not been well since a puerperal fever. इसलिए puerperal fever होने के बाद तो कभी भी पेशेंट ठीक नहीं हुई और कोई सेप्टिक कंडीशन होने के बाद किसी को कोई कंडीशन ठीक नहीं हुई, you can think of the pyrogen. Next, she has not been well since the puerperal fever. Rice disease that could be traced to septic organs, heart failure in septic and diabetic fevers. इसीलिए और क्या देख सकते हैं during the high riser temperature fever the bed feels hard and hard, pus laid on feels sore and bruised. जो जगह में पेशेंट सो जाते हैं that parts become very much hard and sore and bruised feeling होते हैं as if somebody has to be beaten. And baptise is also one of them. Annika montana है, Nux vomica है, bryonia है, and ruta है. So another thing is that bruised feeling, baptisia, Annika montana, Nux moschata, bryonia, and that is the ruta. Next, rapid bed sores. Rapid bed sores. So most of the time we think that is a bed sores, especially in case of the any patient, those who are the chronic patient, old patient, they having the bed sore. The medicine is most of the bed sore is the calendula. Apart from the bed sore, calendula, so carbolic acid also one of them. Baptisia is also another. Annika montana, muriatic acid, all are having the excessive offensiveness is present. So in case of the bed sore, only Annika montana is not there, or calendula is not there. There are other medicine also there. The great sensitivity, great restlessness must move constantly to ameliorate the shortness of the parts. Annika montana, Pyrogen perforatum is very important medicine, and the soreness of the part, bluishness of the part is there. The tongue is very important. The tongue is very large, flabby, and clean and smooth, as if the varnished, fiery red, dry, cracked, articulation diminished, difficult, so on. The croton hor is there, terebinthine is there. Taste, the sweetest taste, terrible fetid, pus like as from an abscesses. So if there is any taste sweet, taste terribly fetid pus and pus like from an orifice, abscesses, we can consider it. Vomiting persistent, it is a condition of the septic phenomena. Brownish, coffee ground, offensiveness, and stercoraceous with structures of phytogens and like this with impacted and obstructed bowels. So कोई जगह में obstructed bowels हो गया, we can think of these drugs also. So some other medicine are also involved in it. Opium is also there. Opium contains the obstructed bowels and black color stool. Plumma metallicum is also there. Obstructed and black color stools is there. Diarrhea, offensive heavily. Sharaname is also there. Brown or black color. Another medicine is the leptandra. Brown or black color leptandra also there. Painless, involuntary. Okay. Stools are brown or black or involuntary, uncertain when passing fetus. EVA, aconite, all in the region. Constipation with impaction on fevers. Okay, the constipation with impaction of the fevers is there. Stools large, black, carrion-like. Stool large, black and carrion-like. Small bag balls like that olive smell. Opium and plumum, This may be useful in this condition case to treat. Next, fetus of placenta usually retained, decomposed and dead tissue and the bodies, and that was the present. Never else since septic fever, confinement, डिलीवर के बाद कोई सीजर होने के बाद और कोई fetus का any part or umbilicus is retained, then only. Local discharges are very thin and accrete between the very period, brown, suppressed, followed by the chills. कभी-कभी suppressed हो जाता है, followed by the chills, and followed by the chills, fever and profuse fatigue perspiration. इसके साथ profuse perspiration है, fatigue है, distinct consolation, distinct consciousness is also present, as if in large body, throbbing, pulsating, consist of these are criteria there. The fever is preventing the sleep, along with the sleep is to be prevented due to the fever. Cardiac asthma from septic conditions. So another thing is the cardiac asthma with them from septic conditions. Pulse abnormally rapid, out of all proportion to temperature. Okay. Next come are skin, pale, cold hues and fan-like motion of elanesi, lycopodium and entimptode. So entimptode and lycopodium में क्या होता है? Fan-like motion in the elanesi. This is also characterization from these drugs. The general modalities देखा गया. So general modality क्या देखेंगे? Respond disposed to acute zygomatic fever and sepsis, lack of the recitability, aggravation from becoming cold in damp and cold weather, emulsion, motion, change of position, heat, hot bath and pressure. Okay, these are the initial stage of the pyrogen to some extent. But we can discuss in along with some different cases. If we discuss along with some case, along with some case, it will be more easily understood the pyrogen. Nosot we thought of in septicemia, other puerperal or surgical or any other cause. In every case of blood poisoning, any case of blood poisoning may be due to anything else. Chills mostly on the back and extends deep down to the bones, accompanying the deep down to the bones and accompanying the sepsis. Sudden rise of the temperature and intensely dry, burning skin with a rapid pulse, entirely out of proportion to temperature of the body. Out of proportion temperature body. Another is offensiveness of all discharges of the body. Offensiveness of all discharges of the body. Great soreness of the body, which seems as if heart constantly moved in search of a soft place. There's comfort for a comfortable position. The patient is inclined to talk during fever, talks so fast, there is the difficulty to follow it. Delirious on closing the eyes, sensation as if she covers the whole bed, as though covered is crowded by arms and legs. That hair is oily. He always thinks that he is oily persons and others are inferior to them. It's okay. Next about tongue, large, flabby tongue. Tongue is mostly large, flabby tongue and shiny as if the burnished color. Okay, and cracked and fiery red, sweetish fetid pus as if from the leg test. Complete inertia of the bowel, complete constipation, rectum bloated to the large black and hard balls, puerperal fever with offensiveness, bacteria. Septicemia follows abortion and failed fetus scunded and retained. Septicemia along with the fevers and fetus is detained. Ever threatened of the typhoid. कभी कभी देखा गया टाइफाइड थ्रेटन कंडीशन आया, उस टाइम भी हम इसको दे सकते हैं. तो pyrogen is a nosode. Importance of it and produces sepsis according to the Allens who has described it. There are so many opinions among the in the Mathematica So that I want to describe, so that it will be clear for us for the better understanding of the pyrogen. You know, it is to some extent like that of baptisia, which bears the great regiments. It characterized by the offensiveness of all the discharges of the body, the stools, the sweat, the any other excretions, and rendered prominent by his carrion-like smell. इसलिए शरीर में कहीं तो भी offensiveness आए, carrion-like, और excretions, these are all very much important. Next, the most features of the great soreness of the body, and consequent of which the bed on which they lie down seems hard and uncomfortable. They keep on moving constantly in search of a soft splash. Mostly, the search of a soft splash and comfortable positions. कितना मिनट है देख लो. Next number, Arnica montana is also there. Eupyterium perforatum, Rustux, Baptisia, Ruta, Medorinum, and Ipecac is also there. So, Arnica montana is there.
32 minutes हो गए.
32. Listen, Baba. Arnica montana, Eupyterium, Rustux, Baptisia, Ruta, and
पॉज करो, स्टॉप करो और कंटिन्यू करो. करो क्या पॉज?
and
पानी भी नहीं पियो.
and Ipecac is there.
पॉज करोगे?
करो. चलो.
हाँ हो गया.
चलो. So, pyrogen is a nosode. I told you previously. Like baptisia and other drugs, Arnica montana, Ipecac, and Rustux, Bryonia, Baptisia, Ruta, and Medorinum. All medicine have some own importance and own characteristics. Next time, it is the first remedy to be thought of in case of septicemia, either puerperal or surgical. So already I told about the medicines that is useful remedy for the case of the puerperal and septicemia cases. But even it may be for other causes. It also occupies an important place in case of the blood poisoning. So whenever there is any blood poisoning due to anything else, we can consider it. It may be the diphtheria, it may be the typhoid, it may be the typhus, and or any other malignant diseases. Okay, so in case of the typhoid, diphtheria, malignant diseases, even if there is a horrible offensiveness is there, we must consider these drugs. Even if there is any offensive, human flesh is poisonous, but it has been emphasized so often as the homeopath must always look totally simple based in other cases. Chills that invariably common, sepsis is another striking feature of the pyrogenia. Pyrogenia sepsis is another condition. They begin mostly in the back, between the scapula and the severe, extends deep down to the bones. They seem to bear the patient and down and crash life out of him. Sudden rise of the temperature, and intensely burning skin is very important factor. Intensely burning skin in absolutely rapid, wildly pulse, a pulse that is entirely out of proportionate to the temperature of the body. So temperature of the body and temperature and pulse rate is totally different. If I can agonized look are sure indication of the pyrogen. So pyrogen patient को देखना है vacant look along with high rise of temperature is very important. It appearance of the tongue should be and should not be overlooked. So pyrogen के patient को कभी भी देखना है उनके tongue को बदलना. So tongue has importance in so many drugs. Among them pyrogen is one of them. Pyrogen, veretamilbum, and natramure, mercury group. And these are the very peculiar tongues are there, and we must be considered and of the tongue so that a correct prescription is to be expected. Next number flabby, they are the looked as if a large flabby, lifeless, smooth, shiny, and varnished. It is very dry and cracked and fiery red. Previously I told, it looks like that red, fiery red, and vomiting is frequently distressing. So, if there is an intestinal blockage is there, intestinal putrefaction is there, and taste, so there must be some vomiting is there. The taste is sweetish, fetid, and pus-like. Vomiting is frequent and distressing. The substance brought out of the brownish coffee ground, offensive, and stercoreous. Stools are painless, offensive, and involuntary. This is also very important. Stools are painless, offensive, and involuntarily. इसलिए हम लोग जब भी पायरोजन का स्टूल देखेंगे very offensive and painless, involuntary are to be seen. ठीक है ना? Next, in pyrogen we find complete inertia of the bowels as in opium and sanicula. कभी कभी देखा गया ये pyrogen में the stools are offensive and complete inertia. They are very much there is no sensation and they are obstructed and there is no urging for the stools. In rectum, it becomes glued with large and black hard balls, which is extremely offensive, and the stools are expelled with great staining when need even the needing of the manual life, manual help. कभी कभी स्टूल इतना हार्ड होता है जो उसको पर मैनुअल यूज करने में हमारे पास कैलकुलेटर कर पाए, हमारा प्लम है, हमारे पास सैलिशिया है, तुझा है, हमको ऐसे निकालना उसको पढ़ना पड़ता है. Next number, it is cured many cases of varicose ulceration. It is cured in case of varicose ulceration with pyrogen and that refuse to heal ulcer. Varicose ulcer में जो medicine pyrogen refuse to heal under the drugs. Baylis cured the pyrogenum. Baylis Dalarius cured pyrogenum. Long-standing cases of leg sweat, the hypersulfuran, silicea and other analogous drug has failed. These facts sufficiently vindicate the truth of Allen's famous statement, when the best selected remedy fails to deliver permanently improved, pyrogen is indicated. So, in case of so many varicose ulcerations, हमारे पास varicose ulceration में हमारे पास बहुत सारे मेडिसिन है. Viper is also medicine, Lacus is medicine, Hammer medicine, Calculafor, but not nearly the pyrogen. Okay. With pyrogen it administered at the proper time. When pyrogen is administered in the proper time, threatening typhoid can be avoided. So we must consider the peculiarity. When the pyrogen is properly administered, it threatened the typhoid and can be avoided. Nervous cases are on the record. Cases are diagnosed as typhoid. Numerous cases it was diagnosed as typhoid, which instead of running through a proper course, definitely cut short the pyrogenum. So, बहुत सारी जगह में the pyrogenum can cut short the case. We think of this also fevers caused by the sewer gas poisoning or anemia. Sewer gas poisoning में pyrogen, surgical infection में pyrogen, even dissecting wound में भी pyrogen, back poisoning में pyrogen or absorption of the pus. So even sometimes देखा गया in case of the septicemia or septic throat or the septic tonsillitis, high radio temperature can be controlled by the pyrogen. Even sometimes after dissection, when the arsenic fails, we can think of the pyrogen. Arsenic, lacasis fails, we can think of the pyrogen. Okay. Next number. Following cases are reported. Varicose medical authorities are very instructive and convincing. Then let us start with some giving some examples about the pyrogen. A case of German, a case of females, ailments, protracted ailments, during which has been various medical institution treatment, ultimately patient hand, and the patient was diagnosed the Bright's disease. Most symptoms pointed towards her urine was full of albumin and crust. In case of the Bright's disease, the urine was full of albumin and crust. Her feet, legs, her face were swollen and puffy, throbbing headache, nose bleeding and vomiting were some of her symptoms. Many remedies were prescribed, but the effects were unsatisfactory. Even on coming to know that the trouble dated from a very large abscess which was badly lensed and cared for, and finding that most of her symptoms started from that date. The doctor gave Pyrogen CM. Soon after improvement started, but it took fully 5 months before she was absolutely cured. कभी कभी देखा गया है कि कभी कभी कोई बड़ा एब्सेस ओपन कर दिया, एब्सेस ओपन करने के बाद देखा गया उसमें सेप्टिसिमा डेवलप हो गई, सेप्टिसिमा डेवलप होने के बाद उसका अंदर ऐसे परिस्थिति निर्माण हो गई एज ए रिजल्ट ऑफ एब्सोल्युटली क्योर बाय द हेल्प ऑफ द पायरोजेन. Next, so in case of child, another a baby was recite which was plumbing being repaired. A few days after was attacked by 2 a.m. with vomiting and purging. A house was preparing, and there was a repairing was done. A profuse watery, cold extremities, ears and nose were there. The forehead was bathed in cold water and perspiration, tongue heavily coated, yellowish, grey, edges and tip very red. The tongue is very important in case of the pyrogen. There is a great prostration, great restlessness, mental and physical, pulse is 140, small and very, temperature 99%, great thirst for small quantities, but the smallest quantity was instantly rejected. Later in the day of stool was horrible offensive, of a carrion-like odor. Face pale, sunken, bathed in cold perspiration, tongue dark red and free from the heavy coating of early morning. Intense thirst, but water aggravates both vomiting and purging. After veratrum, arsenic, carbovage and baptisia had been given with no improvement. So in these cases, mostly there is a vomiting, purging is there. Veratrum album is Asiatic cholera, arsenic also there, carbovage also there, baptisia there, and there is no improvement. The patient eventually sinking, impossible to count the pulse, thinking perhaps severe gas poisoning, mixed being a fitter in the clean and fiery on the tongue. कितना मिनट हो गए? हाँ? कितना? अच्छा. Tongue cold, inattention to Dr. Barnes' case in the homeopathic world, and pyrogen was given. So the tongue is becomes clean, fiery red, and given 2 doses on the tongue and has been given the prompt relief. Third number case, an old woman and having the ground gangrenous and included open with the old nurse. The gangrene was opened by the nurse. The nurse, after that, there was chills, high fever and red streaks round the tongue. So, following the course of the lymphatics, there is the pain and swelling, and there is severe high rise of temperature. Pyrogen was given and removed the whole process. On the female sexual organs, systems, useful, very great. We use it in puerperal fever with offensive leukemia. Okay, so in case of puerperal fever, delivery होगी, उसके बाद कभी कभी puerperal fever होगी. It also we thought of septicemia following abortion, especially when famous of standins are retained and decomposed inside, emitting on a horrible odor. कभी कभी देखा गया excessive horrible odor है. The following cases reported to be drunk workmen, illustrates are pain. So in case of this local discharges with horrible offensiveness, we must think of the pyrogen. Case 4, necessity, pale, slender, delicate but in good health. Queen prepara was successfully delivered. A delivery was happened at the of a female, and there is the lokia discharges, scanty, pale, offensive, felt had no pain. Fever increased severely, but gradually for the several days. until the temperature reaches the 105. So puerperal fever with temperature and reached up to temperature 105 degree 106 with a pulse of 120-130, still say insisted, say faint, well and would not go to bed. Several remedies, Bacteria, belladonna, echinacea and tarantula is there, given without effect, or most of the time behavior. In case of this type of fever, mostly Bacteria is there, belladonna is there, echinacea is there. Echinacea helps a lot to correct the impurities and any type of infection. So echinacea can be dressed, can be lotion is to be given for the washing the situation, bad parts. Even tarantula with excessive burning. Isliye burning along with this situation is there. Given without effect, finally a severe shaking chill is followed. In a few hours, by another sent her to bed, and the nurse was recalled. Pyrogen was given, following the temperature was subsided. So then question comes, lochia reappeared in natural order, the abdominal sensitiveness ceased and 2 or 3 days disappeared entirely and recovered. So pyrogen is a very important medicine for the cases of the this condition. That is the where there is septic conditions. Next, there is the prime gravida, prime para. The third day there is ague. After the delivery, there are some sutures. There is ague, cutting spasmodic pain interest, which is swollen and sensitive, locally distorted, profuse and clotted in the iliac region. An aggravation on the left side. Belladonna gives no relief, and there is more offensive, continuous to the thread to clots, and the odor is very severe, indicating approaching the sepsis. It receives the pyrogen and gives him very gratified results with a very quick results. So, in case of any septicemic condition, it may be from the uterus or gangrene or something else. Another case, I am giving some examples so that it will emphasize, it will give some guidance to you for the correct prescriptions. Only reading is not everything. You must see the patient and along with object clinical experiences, then we will get the knowledge and we can prescribe the correct medicine. Next Ramadan was a 16 years baby children, and there was a urine and faces or hair will be often seen. There is a scarian-like disgust of nausea about any fluid arises from our own body. Soreness of the chest and abdomen is there. Menses last only 1 day and sanguineous liquid. That is of the same odor. And there is a dry cough, words coming into one room, large fleshy, pale, greenish or chlorotic face. Mother having just died in consumptions. The mother was dead in consumption with tuberculosis. And the pyrogen, the CM1 dose, better in 10 hours on November so. The cough, odor, soreness, nearly all cases was gone. Tongue clean, sac-like. The mental symptoms of pyrogen is very important. The patient inclined to talk all the time during the fever and sometimes talk so fast that it is difficult to follow her. She becomes delirious on closing her eyes, men at the foot of the bed. The following are some of the symptoms that will repay us to remember and use when the proper time comes. Sensation as if she covers the whole bed, knew her head was the pillow but did not know where the rest of the body was. The feels when lying one side serious, then another person. When she turns to the other side, see another person. Senses not thought that she crowded by arms and legs. As soon as fever comes, she commenced urinating, redness at the face, also ears, blood wounds, burst and swells, heavy feels. So, in case of carbohydrate, In case of the pyrogen, we'll find that this type of septicemia, and carbohydrate also having the septicemia, but the carbohydrate patient prefer the fanning, constant fanning. Laxative is also useful in case of that type of infection. The laxative patient once fan from a long distance, they usually protrude the tongue, and they are basically mostly talkative. There is irritation of the eyes, constructive pain at the base of the lungs and around the heart, like spasm of the heart. So, constructive pain in base of the lungs and around the heart, like spasm of the heart, as if stomach was full, cold water, coldness extending up esophagus, under sternum, as if she outdid herself and could see herself, as if the rectum was shrunken and dried up, as if the left leg was drawn up and could never be straightened again. So कभी कभी ऐसी ऑपरेशन है, कभी कभी ऐसे केस में जो सीरियस केस आफ्टर इन्फेक्शन, आफ्टर ट्रॉमा, आफ्टर gangrene, after any septicemic condition, if any consequence effect starts, we can think of the pyrogen. Okay, so this is to some extent about the pyrogen. 1 minute. So next number here. So we must, हमारे पास और कुछ मेडिसिन है. Now the medicine which is very important in case of this, that is the pyrogen. Another medicine I am talking about the ratenhia. It is also one of the another medicine which is useful in case of the picular, in case of the piles. 9 minutes है, चलो दूसरा मेडिसिन डाल देते हैं. So the picular contracting sensation as if experienced in the stomach, throat and anus is in the other part. Contracting sensation all of the parts of the body, especially in the orifices. We can think of the retinue. Sensation as if something plug-like sensation. Sensation as if some sticks are there, some pieces of glasses are there. That type of sensation with constructing feeling, we can think of that. The fissures of the anus is very painful and burning before, during and after the defecations. They are relieved by the application of the hot water. So this fissure and piles is very important. So many drugs, the hemamylase is there, retinea is there, nitric acid is naxmonic is there, and so on. But this is very important medicine for the cases of protrusion of the hemorrhage after staining for the stools. This is the most common symptom. We will find it in case of the naxmonic, in case of the sulfur also. I mean, if there is any some offensive discharges along with the piles, you can think of the silicea. Even the carbohydrate also one of the best medicine for the cases of the piles along with the bleeding. But there is an ER hunger, we must consider. Then there is the pinworms problem. So in case of the pinworms, the natrum fascina, this type of drugs is very important. Tendency for the fissures and the cracks. And in the nipples of the nursing women. So fissure and cracks, other medicines are especially useful in case of the nipples. The castori european, graphitis, calcraphor, nitric acid, and so on. So symptomatically, these are all the drugs are different. So we should know the individual and characteristic symptoms of each drug so that we can distinguish from one medicine to another. Next number, tendency for the fissures and cracks, nipples in nursing women. Another is the pterygium twice and twitchings of the eyelids. So we'll find that there is some pterygiums. There is some, to some extent, like the stage like. Okay. So in that cases we can consider toothache, especially during early months of pregnancy. Molars and the fields enlarged. The retinea tincture is mostly prepared from the roots of the Chlamydia trander, a plant growing in the dry, argillaceous and sandy soils of the Peru, Ratania. Give a minute. Okay. The color of the tincture is blood red, so it is a great astringent and a streptotype consequently used in passive hemorrhage. So, whatever may be, if we find it, if there is any medicine whose mother tincture are red color, it means that it is a medicine which is used in the bleeding purpose or blood case, in case of blood or bleeding. So we can think of these drugs, or in case of the hemorrhage, this medicine can be prescribed. This astringent property is there of the drug manifested in the province of peculiar contracting sensation as experienced in the stomach, throat, anus, eyes and other parts of the body. कोई भी body में, कोई भी parts में, if there is any bleeding is occurs, you must consider it. This is not an out used in but in medication certified and clear cut. The sphere in which efficacy has been mostly demonstrated in the fissure of the anus. Actually, it is the best medicine for the fissure of the anus. Okay, this rattan here is a fissure of anus, is very important medicine. We can blindly prescribe this medicine, but it must be symptomatically. There are other medicine which is for the fissures of the anus. The Cilicia, Percrasal, nitric acid is there, hypersulfur and Plumma metallica and so on, magnesium mute, mag-salve, like this. But this is a very important medicine. This is a very distressing complaint. In case of a fissure, the patient suffers from agonizing of the death. The anus burns like the fire, not only during defecation, but also in afterwards. So in that sense, we can think of the sulfur. Sulfur also, there is a burning pain and after defecations. After each stool, he feels as if splinters of glass are sticking in every direction. Splinter of glass is sticking in any directions, as if some splinter glasses are sticking. In the anus or rectum, sometimes the straining for the stool is very great importance in case of the defecation and is accompanied by the prostration of the hemorrhoids. So, कभी-कभी hemorrhoids जब perfusion हो जाता तब भी is burning for the hours after a stool is very characteristic symptoms and is only relieved by the application of the water. उस जगह में water application से a fissure, fistula, anus ये सब आराम मिलता है. Even ठंडा पानी से आराम और एक medicine there is allosacurotina. One patient whom Ratania helped had this modality is very well marked. He had to sit for hours as siege bath and has not could endure to get the relief from the intense burning pain. As has been said, that the stools are forced with great effort of the anus at the burns after stool. As regards the fissure of the anus, and we may compare Ratania to scalar cyphocastinum, nitric acid, Pionia and Puja. So, the Pionia, Ratania, scalar cyphocastinum, nitric acid and Puja is the very important medicine. In all these remedies, we must find greatly affected by these drugs. They have all their distinguishing features. Okay. So, all medicines have some own clinical features, and according to the, we have to prescribe it. The scalar is a rectum, the feels full of the small sticks, very much same as the Ratania, but there is in scalar the sensation of fullness, dryness and heat in the rectum with severe dull pain in the lumbosacral articulations. Nitric acid too has the sensation of splinter and constrictions. So nitric acid is a separating medicine. This type of splinter, fissure, this type of cracks are the separating margins. Even in the excessive offensiveness and so. This remedy should have perfection when there is a syphilitic base and underlying the constipation. So we should consider about this in case of this and that. Okay. Pionia has fissures with much oozing. Pionia has fissure with much oozing Due to the ulceration of the mucous membrane of rectum and anus, the parts are swollen, offensive and moist all the time. Actually, the parts are being swollen, offensive all the time. Forgotten to mention that tendency to fissure and cracks is also noticeable in the nipples and the nursing women. जो nursing women है, उसका लिए भी breast में nipples that becomes cracked and fissure. Ratania is reported to be pure pterygium, twitching of the eyelids. Rumel relates to the cases. Unlucky girls who right eyelids used to twitch in a very badly to prevent proper vision. Ratania pure the कभी कभी देखा गया excessive twitching of the right side is also may be indicator of the ratania. Ratania spicula toothache. The molars feels elongated. The molars tooth feels elongated with sensation as if ice cold or rash out of them. It is also a great use of toothache during the early months of pregnancy. So ratania is a very important machine for the toothache of early months of pregnancy. It is also intolerable to make our patient get out of the bed and walk about. The patient has to be get out and walk about the bed intervally as too much to move the patient, get out of bed, walk about. This makes ratania very similar to magnesium carbonicum. इसलिए magnesium carbonicum का भी ऐसी परिस्थिति है during pregnancy, during early months of pregnancy. But magnesium carbonate had the menstruation difficulties and so on. Barrington mentions New Year, he cured such cases of magnesium. Who consulted suggested of ratania, which proved effective for toothache during pregnancy. We also consider the chamomilla, lysine, max vomica, pulsatilla, raffinus, shipia, and staphylococcus. But ratania is said to be good remedy for the pinworms, for this reports very successive with it in much cases. It is a good medicine for the case of the pinworms. But in case of the pinworms, you must think of the shina, impericary. Even biochemical medicine is the natramphos. Even somebody else are using the silicea, and somewhere somebody used the sulfur in initial cases along with the somebody prescribed the creosote. Okay, so there is many fallacies are there, and according to the science symptoms we must prescribe. That is natramphos is also one of the very important medicine for the cases of the worm infestations. But Shina is very important. Shina always puts his fingers to the nose and he always wants to brush the nose, tip of the nose. Okay, so this is all about ratania. Thank you. Bye.